I am Jane Peterson, PhD, and today we are going to discuss bodies in space. There is no meaningful human body without the brain. Body and brain are just words we created to describe aspects of a whole organism, the living, intelligent soma that is irreducibly entwined with its environment. We make sense of our world through our human bodies. We have no other instrument of interaction with our world. Conceptual metaphor theory, phenomenologists like Merleau-Ponty, the whole enactionist and activist paradigm, they've observed that our bodies provide the foundation for our ways of knowing and speaking about our experiences and our relationships. Systemic constellation work, some of you may have called it family constellations, uses this ability to show our experience of our relationships by positioning people in a room or placing objects on a table according to our felt sense of where we stand relative to the others in this relationship. In other words, we can see what we've been experiencing. We can even see the patterns within our relational or social field. To understand the patterns that our clients create in a constellation, you must first understand the way the human form shapes those interactions. We are not giraffes, or hippos, or fish, or birds. We are social primates. And our eyes are in the front of our head, not the side, or even like some spiders have some in the back. Our gaze signals both our intention and our intention. We are predators, not prey animals, although the tiger might disagree. But ask a horse how she sees us. Horses have eyes here because they can be attacked as prey. Humans have opposable thumbs that can grasp and hold on to our immature and defenseless young babies. We can also grasp another human and pull them towards us or push them away. We totter along on 2 feet instead of a sensible 4. So if another human grasps us by the shoulders, we can easily be pushed over or pulled in. All of these characteristics of the human morphology or form influence the ways that we arrange ourselves in relation to other people. From our earliest adventures in life, we are aware of our position relative to the other humans in our world. Are they close, far, touchable, not touchable? Can we see them? Can they see us? Gaze, grasp, 2 feet. Our lifetime experiences of body-to-body interactions are formative and meaningful. We learn early whether touch or another person's eye gaze is safe or threatening. And that map of our early experience gets overlaid onto all of our subsequent relationships. These experiences are imprinted into our bodily sense of self in relation to others. And all of this happens below our conscious awareness. It happens in the moment-to-moment, day-to-day experiences that we have as part of a social organism, family, workplace, whatever it is. So these shape what we experience and what we expect in terms of normal distancing between people, where our place is, our felt sense of our place in our family or work systems. Anywhere that we spend considerable time in relationship with other people, we will create a proximal map of how close we are with them, whether or not we feel seen, whether or not we can be in touch. Our language of relationship reflects these maps. We say things like, "Oh, I'm close with my sister, but my father and I don't see eye to eye. My boss is always breathing down my neck. I can't get in touch with where he's coming from." And so on. We experience relationships in the body, so we understand them that way too. Just as a little story to illustrate this, I remember one fellow I knew who was born and raised in New York City in a very intensely closely packed neighborhood. He came to one of the trainings that I was helping with many years ago, decades ago. At break time, I would observe him slowly and unconsciously backing our little Pacific Northwest participants up against the wall. And this behavior was totally unconscious. He just kept adjusting the space between him and the other person to fit his New York City norms. But out here in the Pacific Northwest, we have a lot of space, and our interpersonal comfort, the distance, is larger. He was a perfectly lovely man, and he couldn't understand why people were uncomfortable with him. So I finally took him aside and explained that he would have to learn to speak Northwest in terms of body-to-body distance. He got it and adjusted, and the locals got to enjoy this lovely person. Once you understand that our spatial relational experience of our important relationships over time are deeply imprinted into our very voice, into our facial expression, into our posture, even our breathing patterns, you will be able to grasp what you see in a constellation. If you see a mother with her back to her child, she can't see that child. She's looking somewhere else. And imagine how that child feels when he can't get his mother's gaze. He feels unseen and unknown and probably unimportant. Bodies don't lie. They often tell us a story that is different from the mind-made story that we imbibed as the truth as children. These are meaningful maps, and they show the patterns of relationships that our clients were and are embedded within. In a minute, I'll show you a little guide that you can actually do with another person just to get the experience. And this guide illustrates the difference in power that various positions create due to the effects of gaze, grasp, and the fact that we stand on 2 feet. So there are 3 key features that shape the meaning that we see in these constellations. Eye gaze signals our intention, where we're going, what our focus is, to other people. It directs the attention of other people, and it creates an energetic contact and connection between people. The fact that we're upright walkers on 2 feet means that our stance is inherently unstable. We're easily influenced by a grip on a shoulder. And up is good for us, down not so much, because we walk around on our 2 feet. Finally, grasp, the opposable thumb, does provide a secure grip for our helpless influence. It allows us to pull things towards us or push things away. And it gives us a greater influence on objects and people that are within our grasp. So let me illustrate this for you here by going to this slide. So in this slide, you see 4 different rows, and each one of those shows 2 people viewed from the top. So that kind of round thing is a head, and the little bump on the end is a nose, and the kind of gray area is shoulders. And around each one of these people is an indication of their peripersonal space. Your peripersonal space is basically the distance from your fingertips to your body. And your brain maps that space pretty carefully, because if somebody gets within that space, they have access to your body. They have access to your viscera. So we're aware when people kind of get in our space. So in the first upper left box here, we see 2 people nose to nose, right? This is a high level of interactive influence. They can grab each other's shoulders. They are eye to eye, nose to nose, toe to toe. This is either intimacy or conflict. And it's important to note, if you see a pattern like this, that they can only see each other. They can't see much else. That other person is looming large in their view. If one of them or 2 of them, they both take a step back, they can touch but not grasp. And we literally talk about being in touch with people. If we take one more step apart, we can see but not touch. So our ability to influence that person interactively is diminished. And we are much more likely to be able to notice things beside or beyond that person. In the second row down, we have somebody facing forward and someone standing to their side. So if we have that person put out their hands, you can see that we call this a guarding or control position. Because the person who is standing on the right of the person who is facing forward can control how much that person moves. If that person tries to take a step forward, The person who's standing on the side, their right arm can block that movement. Same with the backward movement. We often see this position used when someone is feeling controlled. We see this used when a parent is suicidal and a child is trying to keep them from leaving. It's a guarding or control position. And there's a lot of influence because you're close enough to touch. If the person on the right takes one step back, they might be able to touch the shoulder, but they can't grasp it. And the person to the left could leave. Another step back you can see, but not touch. And you have less influence than you did before. Going to this third box down here on the left, we see that somebody is standing behind a person. So the person on the left has this person really behind them, and the person behind them can actually put their hands on their shoulders. So this is often a very overbearing. We can feel that if that person behind us isn't friendly, we are going to feel threatened. Or if this person is supportive and kind, we can feel like they've got our back because we don't have eyes back there. So they can either stop us from moving forward, they can control us, or they can give us backing and give us support as we move forward. So that's a very high position of interactive influence. If the person in the back takes one step back, they might be able to touch the shoulders, but they can't grasp. And the person to the left can actually leave. One more step, the person in the back can see, but not touch, and the person in front can actually walk away. On the bottom left box there, we see two people standing side by side. You can imagine that they're holding hands. They can both focus on a single point. This is a great position for parents. They can focus on the child, but still have access to each other. And this is a position that we often see works well for partners. If they're a little more side by side, we often see that in a business setting, also as partnerships, as being on the same team. And we're highly influenced by the person beside us. They can touch us, they can put an arm around us, they can push us. So there's a lot of influence that we have on each other when we're this close. In the middle box there, we can see that we can be in touch. We might even be able to hold hands. We can move towards the same thing, but we don't have the same degree of influence that we have, either supportive or destructive, with the person to our side. Finally, in that last box, we can see but not touch. We often see businesses being somewhat between this middle box and this third box here, where we're aligned, but we're not within an intimate space. We're not inside each other's peripersonal space so much. So we can actually help each other work towards a common goal, and that's a beneficial thing for human beings. So this gives you kind of an overview of bodies in space, why these patterns that people place on the floor or place with objects, or mats was another form that we use, why these are so meaningful. They're really deeply embedded in our own lived experience as a human body in relation to other bodies. So I hope that you will be curious about and inspect and reflect on the patterns that if you're doing a constellation facilitation, that you ask your clients to make. These are not trivial patterns. They tell a whole story.